Hello everyone, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Keisha and today I'm going to be ranking all of the cozies that I've ever read. So over the last year, I have read a total of 15 cozy mysteries. So at this point, I feel like I've gotten my feet wet enough to know what I like and what I don't like in cozies. And I mean, obviously I'm here and I have kind of become like quite the cozy enthusiast. So I really love cozy mysteries. I feel like this is a new favorite genre for me. And I'm really excited to share about all of the cozies that I've read to date. So again, there are 15 and not all 15 are going to be favorites. So while I want you to kind of take this as a cozy mystery recommendations video, just know that I'm not going to talk very highly of all of the cozies that I talk about today, but that doesn't mean that I don't think that you might still like them, because some cozies that I don't like as much are some people's favorite cozies. So just keep that in mind. This is my personal opinion based on what I like or don't like in cozy mysteries, but I thought it'd be fun. My friend Gwen actually gave me this idea because I was just going to do a cozy Rex video and she was like, well, why don't you rank them? I would really like to see you rank them. And it is really hard, y'all. It is really hard to rank cozies because there are all kinds of different cozies. There are cozies that are going to focus more on the actual murder mystery. There are cozies that are going to focus more on the atmosphere, the setting of the little town that you're in. There are going to be some that are more character-based. You get to know the characters a little bit better. So there are all kinds of cozies. Obviously, they all have all of those elements intertwined, but some focus on more so than others. So with that being said, and with just in mind what I like in cozies, my ranking is probably going to be different than most people's, but I do want to rank them for you to the best of my ability, and I'm going to start with my least favorite and go up to my favorite. So I'm basically going to start out by crushing some hearts and hurting some feelings, because the first cozy that I'm going to talk about is one that I don't own anymore, so I'll just have to pop a picture up on the screen when I get there, but this is a cozy that is probably most people's favorite cozy or favorite cozy series. It is wildly popular, especially in the fall season. It is a witchy cozy, and it is one, like I said, that most of my friends that have read it have actually really loved it, but personally, it just wasn't for me. So let's talk about In the Company of Witches by Arlie Wallace. This is the first book in the Evenfall Witches B&B mystery series. This was only the second cozy that I'd ever read, and I read this for a book club with some friends, and unfortunately, this is a 2-star read for me. So this is going to be the start of my 2-star read stack. No, I don't have any 1-star cozies, which is nice, but 2-star for me means it's just okay. It wasn't horrible, but it was just okay. So I can't tell you a lot about what this series is about because I honestly don't remember. So please know going into this video, I'm not going to give the perfect synopsis. I'm just basically going to talk about my thoughts and ranking. So all I'm going to say about this is what most people say, and that is that it is great for fans of practical magic. I think that that is very true. I'm not going to say that everybody that enjoys practical magic will enjoy this book, but I can see the comparison there. This does follow some sister witches, I think, basically. It's been so long since I've read this. It's been a year since I've read it. And I know the main character, I think her name was Bryn. I really didn't care for her, and I cared for one of the side characters a lot more. This was one of those situations where I really enjoyed the first few pages of the book and the last few pages of the book, but all of the space in between was just really slow and boring to me. I felt like there were a lot of characters to keep up with, and that is something that's a part of cozies, but this one just didn't get me attached to anybody enough to get to know them, and I felt like it was just really messy. So overall, it wasn't my favorite read. I didn't feel like it was very atmospheric. But I just thought it was okay overall. So it wasn't horrible. And again, I'm a very unpopular opinion here, but this would be, out of the 15 cozies that I've read so far, my least favorite. Stepping up a notch, but still at a 2-star, is another well-beloved cozy series, and that is Shady Hol by Juno Black. I just don't think I can buy into, and I know I love middle grade books, okay? And this has some of those maybe whimsical elements, but in an adult book. I can't get on board with the whole this is animals thing. And I understand, I read it as if they weren't animals, and that's fine. I set aside some weird stuff in the book. If you've read it, you know. But I overall like really just didn't think it was that great of a cozy to begin with. I thought it was just okay. I thought it was, you know, kind of atmospheric. The characters were fine. I didn't really have any huge problems with it. It just wasn't a favorite. It was just kind of okay for me. Now, a lot of people love this cozy series. It's a lot of people's favorites, so take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. This is like one of the most popular ones. But for me, it just fell flat. I don't remember a lot about it. I did think it was good, but just like more on an okay kind of level. Now we're going to start with the ones that I still own, and that's because I still think there's merit in all of these, that like I would maybe revisit them and maybe hopefully think differently about them in the future. So my last 2-star read, but another step up, is going to be Peaches and Scream by Susan Furlong. This is the first in the Georgia Peach Mystery Series. And y'all, this is so hard. So this is more like a 2.5-star read for me. So this follows Nola Mae Harper. This like synopsis alone has all the puns of like Southern charm, peachy, like farm life. I don't know. It's just so cute. But it says, when murder threatens her family's orchard, Nola Mae Harper is ready to pick out the killer and preserve the farm's reputation. I really liked the atmosphere of this story. I really liked that it was set in Georgia. I love all the characters. I love that it was very Southern. Even the audiobook narrator was Southern, but it didn't feel like picking too much at Southerners, because obviously you can tell from my accent, I'm Southern. I live in Tennessee. And so I really enjoyed it. It just felt like very much like home to me. I really enjoyed the characters. And I also thought that the mystery twist at the end was really well done. My biggest qualm with this book is that it just didn't go as far as I needed it to go. Overall, this was between an okay and a good read for me. It was just a little bit too slow. The pacing was off, and there were a lot of points where I was just bored and ready for it to pick up. But I do want to try this again in the future. Maybe as I get older, I might enjoy it a little bit more, but I just didn't connect like I wanted to with this one. Next, we're going to start with my low 3-star reads going up to my higher 3-star reads. So my lowest 3-star read that I have read so far is Apple Cider Slaying by Julie Ann Lindsay, and this is a cider shop mystery series. So this one is a great one if you are transitioning from autumn into the Christmas winter season, because it does take place at the very end of autumn, and November is a great month to read this. I actually just read this book this month, so this is probably your first of hearing me talk about it, because I haven't done a November wrap-up or anything. But it says, apples are at the core of the family business run by Winona Mae Montgomery and her granny Smythe. Not Smith, Smythe. But this year's crop is unseasonably ripe with murder. Okay, I did like this book. I did think it was good. I think there were just parts of it where I wanted a little bit more. I did like our main character and her granny, but I had read another book with a main character and her granny that I loved so much more, and so it really made me think more about this one. Like, it just didn't live up to that for me. But I did like the setting. This does take place on an apple orchard. There is a really odd murder where this woman's head basically gets smashed in a, what is it called? In an apple press. And just the visualization, sorry, that was Joby. No, stay over there, baby. Stay over there. She's going to come over here. Okay, I know y'all love her, so I'm going to let her, and we're going to upset the organization of this video by letting her come. But hi, baby. I don't even know if y'all can see her, but she's here. Anyways, that is just like a really bizarre and gruesome way to die. I mean, I don't know how to describe cozy mysteries except to say that they are like basically a murder mystery, but make it Hallmark. But this even was like a little bit less Hallmarky for me because of some of like the gruesome description in it. But I did think this was a good read. I just, again, it didn't go all there for me. So I think it was good. It just wasn't a favorite. I love the little cats that she ends up adopting in this book. Yeah, you can tell this is just not like a super memorable one. I know a lot of people love this series. So again, unpopular opinion here. It just wasn't a favorite, but I did think this is a good one, and I might continue in the series eventually, but it's not a top priority for me. Next up, y'all are going to come at me because I have a lot of like popular cozies that are at my lowest ranking, but it is what it is. So my next 3-star read is Live and Let Chai by Bri Baker. There are so many people, so many near and dear friends of mine that love this cozy, but I don't know if I really like beachy cozies, and this is taking place on a beach. It's the first book in the Seaside Cafe mystery series. It follows our main character, Everly Swan, and she has just opened up this little iced tea shop and cafe right on the beach. And then she also, I'm thinking about another one. I'm already getting this one mixed up with another because I was like, isn't there a bike shop? But that's another cozy. So there is somebody that is found dead after drinking her tea, and that is the setup for this story. Again, I don't remember a lot about this one. I do think that it was probably a lot better than I am saying it is. So that's why, like, I want to make sure you guys know this is my opinion. This is personal taste. This is so many people's favorite. I think that for this, it is more, it's written like a modern cozy. So if you like more modern cozies, this is a really good one for that. And it's written in a very easy writing. There are some moments that I feel like are meant to make you laugh or smile, but they didn't really do that for me, like to the full effect that I feel like they should have. But again, it's a good one. Not one I think I'll continue in the series with, but one that I will still hang on to. And the one that I was getting that one confused with is a coastal mystery. This one is Murder on Cake Cod by Maddie Day. This is the first in the Cozy Capers book group mystery. This is actually, I think I was between giving this a 3 and a 4 star, but I settled on a 3 because overall it wasn't the most memorable for me. So I do think this is a very high 3. This is a cozy that I would definitely recommend. There were just some elements in the story that make me not want to continue because I don't know how much deeper we're going to delve into those elements. Some of those things are like astrological type things and different stuff like that. So if that doesn't bother you, definitely don't let me deter you. But I don't want to go like in deep with all that. But this says, a Cape Cod shop owner and her book club must find a crafty killer in this charming new series. And it's set during the summer. You have Mac, who owns a bicycle shop, and she ends up having, like, this person is dead with, I don't know if they say this on the back. Yeah, her brother's fishing knife is in this guy's back or whatever. So obviously you have a little bit of a more personal potential situation here, since this is her brother that is a potential murderer. They can't find him. So this hits a little bit closer to home for our main character and our sleuth. I did like this one. Again, not super memorable. The ones that are not super memorable for me are going to stay with the 3s. But let me be completely honest. There are some of these cozies I'm not going to remember over time. It's kind of like popcorn thrillers. You love them so much in the moment, but over time you're probably going to forget a little bit about what they are. So keep that in mind too. But I did really enjoy this one. Again, it was a high 3. I don't know that I'm going to continue in the series, but I will say that I've gone to the bookstore since then and seen more books in this series that have made me interested in picking it back up. So never say never. Next up, this might come as a shocker to some of you. So my final 3-star read, which is a high 3-star, is actually the 3rd book in a series that you have heard me rave about all year. And it is the 3rd book in the By the Book mystery series by Tamara Berry. This one is Murder Off the Books. This is the final book in the series because unfortunately the series got dropped off before it finished. So just know if you do start the series that it's not going to finish, and I don't think it finished well anyways with this last book, because this book definitely had middle book syndrome. So to tell you a little bit more about this book from the first book perspective, which you will hear about later on in the video, the first book is called Buried in a Good Book, and it follows our main character, Tess Harrow. She is a thriller author, and she has gone to Winthrop, Washington to stay in her late grandfather's cabin with her daughter, Gertie. When they get there, there is a loud explosion at the lake by their cabin, and there is a, like, disembodied parts raining from the sky, basically. You see an arm fall out of the sky, and they are trying to figure out what is going on with this mystery. So that is the first little bit that you get of them. And what I really love is Tess Harrow writes about a detective in the series that she writes, the thriller series that she writes, and that detective in her book bears a resemblance to the detective that she meets that is helping solve the crimes, like, in this town. And I love the budding romance there. It's so good. And I honestly, that is the hugest reason why I hate that this series did not have a complete end, that it just kind of is going to cut off here, because I really want to see them end up together, and they're not yet there yet with book 3. So just know that the series doesn't continue, but I do highly recommend, if anything, just reading the first book. I do think that the series kind of goes downhill a little bit for me. because this was a 3-star read, and then I have a 4 to 5. But just know that I love these characters. I mean, you can hear me telling you about this story, remembering the characters' names. Like, this is definitely a memorable modern cozy, so check this out if it sounds interesting to you. Next up, we have maybe the 3rd or 4th cozy that I ever read. I read it earlier this year, I think around February, and that is Homicide in hardcover by Kate Carlisle. This is the first book in the Bibliophile Mystery series, and I gave this book 4 stars. Now, it has been a long time since I've read this, and I don't remember a lot about it, but it follows our main character, Brooklyn Wainwright, and she is a bookbinder, and this is going to be more of a classic cozy. It takes place in these classic buildings, these old bookstores, these old libraries, and I don't remember, again, a lot about it. It is also British, I believe. I think the narrator was British when I listened to the audiobook. So if any of that piques your interest, definitely pick this one up. It very much intrigued me that she was a bookbinder. There is a little bit of potentially a budding romance in this one, but you don't get a lot of that. That's in a lot of cozies, just so you know, in case you are new to the cozy genre. But I did very much enjoy this one, and I need to read the second book because I have it, and it's been so long since I've read the first that I just don't know. Like, I feel like I need to read that one soon so I don't forget, but this is definitely a good one. And then the first cozy that I ever read, and still one of my favorites, even though it's only a 4-star read, is Curse the Day by Annabelle Chase. This is the first book in the Spellbound Paranormal Cozy Mystery series. This was my first cozy ever, and it has a very special place in my heart. It is the book that got me, I think it got me like into reading cozies. It didn't sell me on them yet, but at this point I was thinking, I don't know if I'm gonna like cozies. I don't foresee any cozy mystery ever being above a 4-star for me. I was wrong. But this book, again, is so sweet, so whimsical, and it very much reminds me of Halloween Town from my childhood. So if you ever watched that, specifically the one where Halloween Town, like all the characters are trapped there, because this book follows our main character, Emma Hart, and she ends up becoming trapped in Spellbound when she finds out that she is a witch. So these magical creatures of all sorts, you have vampires and werewolves and witches and all the different kinds of paranormal creatures are trapped in Spellbound. They have been cursed, and there's also a murder that happens in this town that our main character is trying to solve. This is definitely a more modern cozy. It's very light and fluffy, but also has some gritty moments as well. I do need to continue on in the series. I have book 2. I just haven't gotten around to it yet, but this will always hold a special place in my heart because it was my first cozy. And my last 4-star read is the second book in the By the Book Mystery series by Tamara Berry. This one is On Spine of Death. I originally rated this one 5 stars, but I think I dropped it to a 4 because in the grand scheme of all the cozies that I've read, I think it fits more like a 4 stars. So this book was still really good. This again is the one with the thriller writer named Tess Harrow, the detective that is very similar to the one she wrote about in her book. Takes place in Winthrop, Washington. This just goes on with that story. I'm not going to say much about it. Still takes place in the same area, and I did really love this one. Not as much as the first, which is why I lowered it to a 4, but it still gave me some 5-star feelings. So this is like a very high 4 for me. And now we are going to talk about the creme de la creme. Is that what people say? The cream of the crop, the best, my favorite 5-star cozies, okay? This is a huge deal because I never thought that I would be a cozy mystery girly, but here we are. I'm a cozy mystery enthusiast. I love cozies. I want to read all the cozies. I want to do all the cozy things. Let's jump into my 5-star cozies. First up, coming in at number 5 is Death Overdue by Allison Brooke. This is the first book in the Haunted Library Mystery series, and I just read this book around Halloween. I think fall is a great time to read this one. It does take place during Halloween, and it goes a little bit into Thanksgiving. This is following our main character, Carrie Singleton. She is a new librarian, and she does programs and stuff, which I love program librarians. They have the most fun job, and it definitely made me feel like nostalgia for my previous job as a children's librarian. So Carrie stumbles across a terrifying age-old murder, only for it to be followed up by a new murder in her very own library. This book starts out with a library event that is taking place where they're going to talk about this murder that happened in the town a few years ago that went unsolved. But during this event, there is another murder that takes place, and so now we have 2 murders to solve. One thing that I love about this, you will notice it says that it's the first book in a haunted library mystery. Please take note that this is a very light haunting. It's very sweet. I will not tell you who is haunting this library, but it is a very precious presence and it's very light. So if you don't like haunting stuff, please note that this is very low-key haunting. And honestly, if you would read this and just not even think about this person being a ghost, you could see that they're just another part of the library. I love the characters in this one. I love the library setting. I love the fall atmosphere because they're doing all the fall programming. It is so, so good. And again, a great read, a great fall read, great 5-star read, one of my favorites. So I'm really excited to read book 2, which is set during Christmas. I'll be reading that one in December. And I think I'm gonna have to talk about books 4 and 3 together because I honestly don't know which one I like better. So I'm gonna just combine them into one. This is book 1 and book 2 in the same series. And yes, I'm literally contemplating whether or not I liked book 2 more than book 1. So we're gonna talk about them together. And that is the Crime and Poetry Magical Bookshop Mystery Series by Amanda Flowers. So we have Crime and Poetry, which is book 1, and then we have Pros and Cons, which is book 2. I am obsessed with this series, you guys. This is the sweetest, most wholesome little cozy, whimsical series that you will ever read. If you have not picked up this series, why not? You are definitely missing out. This book series takes place just outside of Niagara Falls and Cascade Springs, and we follow our main character, Violet, and her feisty little grandmother named, Grandma Daisy. And they are so precious. The book series starts out where you have the grandmother has reached out to Violet and she says, Violet, you have to come quick, I'm dying. Well, Violet gets there and Granny's like, just kidding, I'm not dying. I actually need you to take over the bookshop for me. So that's why I called you here. But I knew you wouldn't come if I said that. So I had to fib. Like, Granny, what are you doing? But it was such a good series so far. I'm obsessed with the characters. I'm obsessed with this magical bookshop setting. You have these books that kind of like call to the buyers. I don't want to go too much in detail about that or where this magic stems from yet because you don't know going in, but it's such a fun story to like find out. So that is like one little part of the mystery, but obviously you have a murder that takes place in the bookstore, and then the second one takes place, well, it's in the bookstore too, but no, does the first one take place in the bookstore? Okay, no, the first one, I just recently read this one. This one takes place in the bookstore. This one takes place after somebody had a book from the bookstore. It's a whole thing, but the detective in this one, it's Chief Rainwater. He's the police chief, but he's also a Native American, hence the name Chief Rainwater. And I'm obsessed with his character and the budding romance between him and Violet. So definitely a good series to check out. There are just so many good things about it. I don't know what to even say to convince you to pick it up, except that I absolutely love it. And now is when things start to get juicy. If you have been around for any amount of time here since I started reading cozies, or honestly just this year on my channel, you have heard me talk about and seen me get excited for other people to read this book series that I've already talked about. And we're only at the number 2 spot, so this is a big deal, y'all. I just read a book that bumped out my number 1 cozy ever. So let's get into it. Buried in a Good Book by Tamara Berry has most recently this year so far been my top favorite cozy of all time. And I do still think that this is a top favorite cozy of all time. I mean, obviously it's in my top, but I think that this other book and series may beat it out. Now, I may have to sit on that, but you're going to hear it here first. The reason is because this again is the Buried in a Good Book by the Book Mystery Series by Tamara Berry with Tess Harrow, the thriller writer that moved into her grandpa's cabin. That's the storyline, okay? Modern cozy. This book made me laugh. It really stole my heart. There are so many good things about this one. Like, honestly, it is a favorite book ever, okay? My issue is that the series went downhill for me. It was still enjoyable, but it was like 5-4-3 versus being 5-5-5, 5-4, whatever, you know, with star ratings. So keeping that in mind and knowing that I'm never going to get to hear the end of this story, that does lower a little bit how I view the series as a whole. So, still a favorite of all time, but I did have a book just yesterday beat this one. And my top favorite cozy of all time, the book that took me by surprise and by storm, is A Dark and Stormy Murder by Julia Buckley. This does read more like a classic cozy. It is phenomenal. I love the characters in this one. I love the setting in this one. I love the house that you get to go in, be a part of, whatever. I just love everything about this. I love the mystery. There's actually 2 mysteries going on, and one's going to continue on in the series. But let me tell you about what this story is about. So you have our main character, Lena London, and Lena is an aspiring writer, and she is quite obsessed with Camilla Graham, who is a romantic suspense author. That's like her favorite author of all time. Well, it just so turns out her best friend Allison is in a knitting club with Camilla Graham. So Allison is talking up her friend Lena, and Camilla says, hey, why don't you give me your number? Let me reach out to her. I would love to see if she would be interested in coming to be my assistant and co-write with me. So Lena ends up getting an incredible opportunity to not only co-write with her favorite author, but to live in her house with her and relocate. So I love that plot setup already, just from the get-go. And this also, A Dark and Stormy Murder, takes place at the very beginning on a stormy night. It's very ominous. I love the coastal setting of this. It's on a lake, so it's not like beachy coastal, but if you give me dark, stormy coastal, I'm gonna like it much more than a light, fluffy, beachy coastal. So keep that in mind with what I like in cozies. But this features our main character. She has a cat named Lestrade, and the author, I can't remember the dogs' names, but she has 2 German Shepherds, and they all live together now. And there is a murder that happens the day that Lena gets into town, and it is not too far from, it's around the property of Camilla's house. And so they are, obviously trying to figure out what's going on, why this is happening, all this stuff. But then there's another mystery going on with another person in town that's kind of like the town recluse that nobody really likes. And there is going to be a budding romance in this book. I just loved the gothic home. Again, the setting. I love getting to know the characters a little bit more. There were so many moments where I feel like I really got to know them. There were also some moments that were really endearing, both moments that made me smile and giggle, but also ones that made me a little teary-eyed. So this book has it all, and there's a continuing mystery that's going to go on into the next book, and I cannot wait to pick it up. I think it's set in winter. I don't know if it's set around Christmas, but I really need to get it ASAP and probably add it to my December TBR because I love this that much. So this is my #1 top favorite 5-star cozy mystery. And that is going to be all the cozies that I talk about today. Those are the 15 that I've read, ranked from my least favorite to my favorite. I hope that you all enjoyed kind of seeing where they all fell and just kind of getting to know me as a cozy mystery enthusiast at this point in my life. Please let me know what your favorite cozy mystery is down in the comments below, and let me know if I need to check it out. And if you have nothing else to leave in the comments and you just want to show support, you can leave whatever emoji you want that signifies cozy for you. I feel like for me it would be like the little coffee or teacup emoji, but whatever emoji you feel like just embodies coziness, that's what I want you to leave in the comments. But thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate you so much, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye, friends.